A week later, he was discharged, and that should have been the end of it. But the universe wasn't done with me yet, because a few days later, I got called into the hospital administrator's office. Legal was there. So was HR. You ever have one of those moments that makes the world tilt on its axis? Like 1 second, everything is normal, routine, and the next, you feel like you're in some twisted movie. That was me. A doctor. A trauma surgeon, actually. Someone who's sworn an oath to save lives. And I meant it. Until him. By the way, where are you watching from? And what time is it right now? I love seeing where all of you are tuning in from. It was a Thursday night. Slow, oddly enough. The kind of rare night where the ER is quiet and we can actually hear ourselves think. I just grabbed a cup of stale coffee from the break room when the paramedics burst through the automatic doors, pushing a gurney like their lives depended on it. Gunshot wound to the abdomen, male, mid-40s, BP's dropping, we're losing him. We kicked into action. That rush of adrenaline is second nature to me now. I barked orders, gloved up, and we raced him to the OR. I didn't even glance at his face, just saw blood everywhere, and did what I always do. We were in surgery for hours. The bullet had ripped through his liver and clipped his inferior vena cava. That's a death sentence for most people, but not on my table. I fought like hell to pull him back. I did things I haven't done since residency. When we finally got a pulse and stabilized him, everyone exhaled like we'd all been holding our breath. And I was proud of the work we'd done. I always am. But then I saw his face. It was when they wheeled him into post-op recovery. His face was still pale, swollen. But I'd know that jawline anywhere. The sharp nose, the scar just under his left eye. I froze, like someone hit pause on my brain. "Dr. Connolly, you okay?" My nurse's voice barely registered. Because that man, the one I just saved, was the same man who killed my older brother 22 years ago. I didn't want to believe it at first. I thought maybe I was wrong, maybe I was just overtired, or the face triggered some old trauma. But no, I knew. And I couldn't ignore it. His name back then was James Landon. It had been all over the local news. My brother, Nathan, had been out with friends at a small club downtown. Got into a scuffle with a guy over something stupid, a spilled drink, I think. Next thing anyone knew, that guy pulled a knife and stabbed Nathan 3 times in the chest. He bled out before the ambulance even got there. James disappeared before the cops arrived. Went underground. No justice, no closure. My mom drank herself into a depression. My dad got bitter. And me, I buried myself in school, then med school, then surgical rotations. I told myself I was going to make a difference, save lives, be better than the world that failed my brother. But there he was, breathing because of me. After my shift ended, I drove home in silence. No music, no podcasts, just the sound of my own pulse pounding in my ears. The next day, I couldn't stay away. I came back early, pulled his chart. The name was different, Michael Grant. But the birth date matched, so did the scar, and the fingerprints, which I quietly asked a friend in the lab to verify. It was him. There was no doubt. I sat there, staring at the screen. I had every opportunity, every reason to report him. I could call the cops, turn him in. Justice, finally, after decades. But there was a problem. If I did that, everything I'd worked for, my entire career, could unravel. If the hospital found out I treated someone I had a vendetta against without disclosing it, I'd be suspended, maybe even sued. And worse, if they suspected that I deliberately saved or harmed him because of our history, I could go to prison. I didn't sleep that night. I kept seeing my brother's face, then his. The next morning, he woke up. He was groggy, barely conscious. I entered his room like I was just another doctor. He looked at me, blinked. "Do I know you?" he rasped. I stared at him for a moment and said, "No, you don't." But I knew him, and that was enough. Days passed. He was recovering faster than we expected. Strong vitals, eating solid food, walking the hallways with assistance. Everyone called it a miracle. I called it a cosmic joke. And then the twist I never saw coming. One of the nurses, Marta, handed me a note. "Patient in 305 asked you to give this to you." I opened it. It was one line. "I remember you. And I'm sorry." My stomach dropped. I went to his room, heart pounding. He was sitting up reading a book like he wasn't the human embodiment of my nightmares. "What do you want from me?" I asked, shutting the door behind me. He looked up, resigned. "Nothing. I knew who you were the second I came to. I wasn't sure if you recognized me. But after all these years, I figured I owed you that. You owe me a hell of a lot more than that." He nodded. "I know." He told me his version of what happened. Said he hadn't meant to kill Nathan, that it was a fight gone wrong, that he panicked and ran. He said he changed his name, moved across the country, lived a clean life ever since. Never married, no kids, always looking over his shoulder. "Why are you telling me this now?" I demanded. "Because you saved me, when you could have let me die. And I need you to know, I've been haunted by what I did every day." I didn't believe in redemption. Not for him. But something in his voice, the way he said my brother's name, cracked something in me. I walked out without saying another word. Someone had filed a complaint against me, anonymously. Said I had a personal connection to a patient I operated on and failed to disclose it. That it presented a conflict of interest, that it violated protocol. Guess who? Him. Michael freaking Grant. I couldn't believe it. After everything, after I saved his life, he tried to ruin mine. I was put on immediate leave while they investigated. And even though they couldn't find proof I did anything unethical, the damage was done. My colleagues looked at me differently. My name was tarnished. So I did what I should have done weeks ago. I went to the police. I gave them everything. His fingerprints, the confession in the hospital, the name change, the timeline. And this time, they listened. Turns out, there had been a cold case file open all these years. They reopened it, and with the new evidence, they finally issued a warrant for his arrest. He was picked up at a coffee shop just a few blocks from the hospital. Apparently, he'd started volunteering at a food bank, another move to paint himself as a reformed man. He pled guilty, took a deal. 20 years, no parole. And me? I got reinstated after the board ruled there wasn't sufficient evidence I violated any protocol. But my trust in people? Gone. I still save lives, still operate, still wear the white coat. But now I know, even the ones you save might turn around and betray you. Some people never change. They just hide better. So, here's my question to you. What would you have done if you were me? Would you have let him die? Or saved him anyway, like I did?